Yeah, as I was saying, many apostles, many prophets had their encounters with the marine kingdom, and you had to understand that the Bible is a spiritual book, and that's why I'm just going to take you to John chapter 6 verse 60 through 3. It is the spirit that quickens, the flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So the things that I'm speaking about, they are spiritual right now. You know, Romans chapter 7 and 14, for we know that the law is spiritual. So the words in the Bible, they're spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. So that's what Paul's there telling you, that the law, I just want to take from that part that the law is spiritual, and I want to tell you that these words are from our spirit, you know. For we know that the law is spiritual. Romans 15 and 27, it has pleased them verily, and their debtors they are. For if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister onto them in carnal things. No, we cannot. I can't minister to you in carnal things, because this is a spiritual book. So I'm going to be talking to you about spiritual things. 1 Corinthians 9 and 11. If we have sown unto you spiritual thing, it is great. It is a great thing if we shall reap to you carnal things. Should I then reap to you things, carnal things, if I'm showing to you and I'm teaching you spiritual things? No. Now, this is something spiritual. Luke 10 and 19. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. So we know Leviathan is a serpent, right? So these are the power over your spiritual enemies, the scorpions and serpents, right? Job 38 and 16, hast thou entered into the spring of the sea, or hast thou walked into the search of the depth? Now, all right, so I told you Jonah had his encounter. Paul, if you read the book of Acts, you'll see he had his encounter with shipwrecks and things. Now, and behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. Now, Christ understood that there was marine powers. That's why he wasn't afraid. Matthew 8 and 24, and behold, there arose 14 and 24, sorry about that. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. What was this contrary waves? It was the kingdom of marine. It was the water spirits messing with them. 2 Samuel's 22 and 5. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. Who were these ungodly men in the depths that made them afraid in the floods? It was the people in the marine kingdom. 2 Corinthians 11 and 25. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Now this is Paul telling you. 3 times he was beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice was I suffered shipwreck. Who was causing those shipwrecks? At a night and at day I've been in the deep. So now he's telling you he's been in the deep from night and day. So he suffered these things. Who do you think was tormenting him? Now Psalms chapter 88 and 6. Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit, in darkness, in the deeps. The deeps, when it's talking, the Bible talks about the deeps, it's talking about hell. All right? Thy wrath lies hard upon me, and thou hast afflicted me with all thy waves. Now Psalms 88 and 7 is talking about the sea. Now Job 41 and 1, can thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord, which thou letst down? Well, we know Leviathan is in the sea, right? Now this is God gonna punish Tyrus. This is a merman in the sea. And I hope that you read the book of Ezekiel, chapter 26, 27, and 28. I am only going to touch in a few of it and talk about his judgment quite quickly. And then I'm going to get into the Antichrist. In that day, the Lord, with his soaring great strong, the borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. The ships of Tarshish to sing of thee in thy market, and thou was replenished and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus says the Lord God, because thy heart is lifted up, and thou says, I am a God, and I sit in the seat of God, and in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man, and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God. So that's God gonna punish the merman in the sea, okay? Because he feels like he's a god, but he's not. Now, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that thou can hide from thee. So this is God telling him about himself. Now, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and gotten gold and silver unto thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, thou hast increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, because thou hast said in thy heart, as the heart of God, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw out their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the death of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. So that's God going to deal with the merman, and he's going to die the death of them that are slain in the midst of the sea. So that's telling you about the inhabitants of the sea. They get judgment